Bitcoin pumps while Ross Ulbricht celebrates. Well, he doesn't celebrate. He marks 10 years in prison for a double life sentence plus 40 years. Ross Ulbricht has been seen as someone very integral to the Bitcoin space. So we've gone live, and somebody's just given me a call this morning, which is fantastic. These things happen. We will get straight into this article of Ross Ulbricht. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. So, the Silk Road founder marks 10 years into his double life sentence in prison. Ross Ulbricht, the founder of the first modern darknet market, has reached the 10-year mark of his double life sentence in prison after having his laptop seized by the FBI in 2013. Ross has been an integral figure within the Bitcoin community since 2013. And some people are for him, some people are against him. We'll show both sides of the argument here. For anyone to be locked away for so long when the laws have changed so much, it's sad. A life wasted, a life cut short too quickly. It's painful to read, it's painful to see. We are going to go through it. So the founder of the former Silk Road online black marketplace, Ross, marked 10 years behind bars after he was given a double life sentence by the US authorities in 2013. On the 2nd of October, this tweet, ladies and gentlemen, super hard to read. We'll get through it. Posted on X that he had already spent a full decade in prison and fears he'll spend the remainder of his life behind concrete walls and locked doors. He said all he can do now is pray for mercy. This is deep. 1 year for each finger on both hands. Today ends a full decade in prison. I sometimes fear I'll spend the rest of my life behind concrete walls and locked doors, but I've no one else to blame. It's my poor choices that led me here. All I can do now is pray for mercy. So Silk Road started in 2011, was run and operated by Ulbricht from his personal laptop under the username Dread Pirate Roberts. That's out of the movie The Princess Bride. If you haven't seen that, it's actually a really good movie. A really, really good movie. I'd recommend everyone that watches The Princess Bride and finds out about Dread Pirates Roberts and what that reference is, because it's pretty deep. It's very thoughtful, very philosophical. It is known as the first modern darknet market with a payment system built on Bitcoin. We will get into the numbers very shortly. We've actually got quite a few things to go through today, so we'll race through it. I've got a couple of calls early this morning and some appointments. So FBI, October 1st, 2013, seized the laptop. Ulbricht was convicted in the US federal court 2015 for various charges relating to the operations of Silk Road, sentenced to 2 life terms plus 40 years and no possibility of parole. According to court documents for the case, Silk Road site facilitated sales amounting to 9,519,644 Bitcoin, with a commission of 600,000 Bitcoin at the time of publication. Of the court documents, this equaled 1.2 billion in sales and around 80 million in commission. Ulbricht's case has received widespread attention, with many echoing calls for the website's founder to be shown clemency. So we read through his tweet. This is from soberclown.eth. Nearly makes me cry to see this post. The punishment didn't suit the crime, and people who have done much worse have had a chance of redemption, which is true. Good morning to everyone watching this morning. Good morning, Pride, there in the chat. One user went so far as to deem Ulbricht a Bitcoin political prisoner and said he is someone Bitcoiners can never forget. Ross Ulbricht is a Bitcoin political prisoner. He has been in prison since 2013. Some would prefer to forget him, but Bitcoiners never will, and we never will. Ross was sentenced by the federal government to 2 life sentences plus 40 years. As a first-time offender and convicted, there is more. Wow, a life wasted behind bars. It's sad, and there's so many people that have made a couple of bad decisions in their youth, whether they've gone down the road of drugs or whatever it is, hit and runs, or they get into a street gang or whatever it is, to be able to make ends meet, and they end up in jail. It's crazy. So one ex-user pointed out that the prosecution in the case against Ulbricht claimed that he allegedly hired hitmen to have several people killed, though he wasn't officially charged with this. Very interesting in regards to that. Really good book about it that dives deeper into it. Whether he did or he didn't, who knows? As so, Patrick, today marks Ross' 10th year in prison. In the past decade, Bitcoin has printed millionaires. Cannabis stock featured on CNBC, and psilocybin is accepted as medicine, yet Ulbricht sits in a cage in a world that otherwise celebrates the disruptive forces he championed. And then someone firing back, is murder for hire legalized yet or no? Seems like the lead was buried a bit in this intro. Because he never was convicted with it, it's a little bit of he said, she said, obviously going that far as well, if that is true. It's it's a tough one, isn't it? Like both sides are justified in their argument, but this is a young kid sitting there, and you know, basically he created a website and he's spending the rest of his life behind bars. What happens on social media and stuff, or any social media, the same things are happening there currently now that what happened back on Silk Road. Maybe not as blatantly, it still happens. Another user highlighted what actually happened on the Silk Road side, including sex trafficking, drug trade, and how it was used by terrible people to do this stuff. So Silk Road sold drugs, human trafficking, and other things. Let's not pretend like it wasn't used by terrible people to do this stuff. That being said, I'm not sure that was how he intended it to be used. And that's the thing. He created a website, people used it. Who's in the right, who's in the wrong? Should he have shut it down earlier? Probably, potentially, but it is what it is. Debates online continue as Ulbricht defenders point to the modern social media platforms such as X and Facebook, saying all of these things happen on X as well and every other social media site. Others involved with the Silk Road saying the average sentence. So the average sentence is around 6 years. The top drug seller on the site was only given 7 years in prison and is currently free. Additionally, the Silk Road 2.0 creators have served either no time behind bars or only up to 6.5 years and are now free. 10 years behind bars, no possibility of parole. We stand with you, Ross. I'm so sorry that this is the life that you've chosen and that you've lived. So we are at block height 810,352. Sats per dollar is going down very quickly. Welcome to October, 3,595. Last block reward 6.30, and we are looking at next halving 29,648 blocks to go, 85.88% of the way there. Next difficulty adjustment is nearly nothing. Our average block time is 10 minutes and 1 second there. You can see the market cap 1.14. It is continually ticking up. So I've zoomed out. We'll show you the 24 hours, but we have not seen prices this high since about the 30th of August there. And then if we switch over to the last 24 hours, we had a high of 28,493 with the low of 27,078. That's nearly $1,500. Wait until after the halving. I believe we're going to see $10,000 days. Easy. Maybe even multiple 5 figures in a day. We've seen 4 figures today. It's not hard to think that's going to happen. This is what the market looks like. It probably needs a little bit of a refresh. 27,810. Good. Things that should be down are down. Bitcoin is up. It's what we love to see. Now, British Huddle is probably not making friends here, but I thought it was a good tweet. And he's got 3 rules to Bitcoin. If you don't know them, you should. Imagine not securing 1 Bitcoin during this entire bear market and then spending $3,000 to attend a Bitcoin conference to learn about why you need Bitcoin. Literally paying to listen to the same shit you see on YouTube. Oh, sorry, community. That's 0.11 Bitcoin that your children will never, ever see. 0.11 of the hardest, most scarce asset humanity has ever created. Sit your ass at home, get on YouTube and secure yourself 1 Bitcoin first. So if you are here now listening and you're up to 1 Bitcoin, well done, congratulations, and keep going. You've got 1, now let's get 2. Your progeny will frown upon you for attending a Bitcoin conference while failing to own 1 Bitcoin. I don't care what the happy hippies say about getting drunk with each other and celebrating Bitcoin together. You know I wish I was you. where I could learn and own the best property or stocks without paying thousands of dollars to go to conferences and fluff experts in my early years to make people feel good to give me the information. You have no idea how lucky you are with Bitcoin. This is the greatest opportunity ever known to humanity, along with absolute transparency of information disseminated on YouTube through books and great podcasts. First time ever in any asset class, and you insult it for what? For your deep-seated need to feel like you're part of some group or movement. You think people care about you if you spend your Bitcoin to buy a piece of shitty art with Lightning. You think people care about you because you've high-fived them and said, fuck the system. Instead of securing your bloodlines one Bitcoin with this one chance you have. It's intense, it's deep. He's speaking truth, he's spitting truth. Follow British Hodl on Twitter. We've got a video coming out as well next week. Follow British Hodl on YouTube. His content is absolutely fantastic. My phone's going off again. So obviously we did see 28,000 in the last 24 hours. It is a little bit below at the moment. Analyst question, ETF optimism angle. Just a couple of points I want to point out here. Short liquidations on crypto track futures may have contributed to the rise in Bitcoin and Ether. Data shows some 94 million bets against rising prices were impacted on Sunday, creating a short squeeze. It's going to be a very, very volatile month. The first couple of days of October have absolutely skyrocketed. It's not just going to continually go up. So if you're going long or you're going short, know what the fuck you're doing, because you're probably going to get wrecked. It's probably easier just to buy on stocks on spot and stack and chill. Some 30,000 bearish bets were liquidated. These gains in crypto come with the bullish impression that characterizes the month of October. In general, not too much more. Bitcoin has not recorded monthly losses in October since 2013, except twice, which prompted this month to be called Uptober within the cryptocurrency community. ETF angle question. Some are attributing the rise in price to optimism about crypto-related ETFs. Sort of interesting. After all, a number of futures-based Ether ETFs opened for business on Monday morning, and Grayscale applied with the SEC to convert its 5 billion Ethereum trust to a spot ETF. Don't actually care about the Ether ETF, especially futures-based, but what I like is how that sets it up to this. ETF issuers don't know the markets like traders do. Their optimism is a bit misplaced. Anyone who wants Bitcoin or Ether surely has it, unless they don't understand it yet. And we're going to see that next year, definitely in 2024. There's so many people that do not yet have Bitcoin who want Bitcoin. They want it, but they don't know they want it, if that makes sense. In regards to Silvergate Bank, the Fed report blasted the Fed themselves, which is pretty interesting. Silvergate Bank got fatally ensnared in crypto while examiners shrugged. I just found this a little bit interesting. Couple of things here. Silvergate transformed from a community lender to a high-flying crypto bank without its Federal Reserve's examiners were raising an alarm, according to a report from the Federal Reserve of Inspector General, allowing the bank to take risks that would turn fatal. Rising from obscurity, Silvergate was a go-to bank for the digital asset sector that was treated with suspicion by larger, more traditional institutions. They're already throwing them under the bus. Treated with suspicion from larger, more traditional institutions. For a decade, the bank largely operated as a single industry lender, and the OIG concluded that this change in course should have required a different type of registration that its government supervisors failed to demand. Examiners, and this is how they throw themselves under the bus, should have taken more aggressive and decisive supervisory action to escalate several issues in light of the bank's unchecked growth, its volatile funding and deposit concentrations, and its significant, pervasive and persistent weaknesses in key control functions, the report found. Under the banking regulations, Silvergate should have filed an application with the Fed when it pivoted into full-time crypto. Silvergate's problems also extended to its ineffective senior management that was beset by nepotism. I had to Google the word nepotism this morning to figure out what it meant. And it's like favoring like family or friends, basically. But former CEO Alan Lane had taken heavy criticism for employing multiple members of his family in senior roles. If you grow up in a banking family, your children are probably going to grow up to be bankers. Like, it's fairly likely, or in the financial sector, or lawyers, or they're going to be like white collar workers. So it makes sense. It's probably not the worst thing. It sort of happens absolutely everywhere. Last thing is October here. Bitcoin, Ethereum suddenly pump wiping 70 mil in shorts. Just a friendly reminder, don't go short, don't go long, just buy, stack, chill. British Huddle's got his three rules. They're not rules, but I'm trying to figure this one out. Maybe a little bit of help here. Number one is believe it's possible. Number two is be relentless. And number three is stack one Bitcoin. Anyway, we won't call them rules, but maybe guidelines. The price of Bitcoin and Ethereum surged nearly 4% in just a 15-minute window, sparking bullish predictions for the month of October. That obviously wiped out $70 million. The sudden pump saw Bitcoin surge 3% just 15 minutes from 27,100 to 28,053 before settling down just below the 28,000 mark at the time of publication. Scott Melker is happy October to those who celebrate. I'm a little bit annoyed. I'd prefer it was down lower for longer. The sudden movement has left most in the community scratching their heads. Many commentators said the move aligned with the arrival of October. Other community members suggest that someone knows something that others don't. Meanwhile, those holding spot and long positions may have celebrated the first significant price action over a month. Short sellers have had the opposite luck. The rapid uptick did see 70 million in short positions liquidated in just 2 hours. Please just buy on spot. Thanks for bearing with me. It's been a painful morning. Anyway, thank you so much. And Ross Ulbricht, it's crazy. 10 years behind bars for a young kid for creating a website. We stand with you, Ross. Anyway, a beautiful day. Be blessed.